The primary aspect to understand about Ionic 2 navigation is that it's based on a simple stack. Besides the stack providing a natural programming API for navigation, Ionic 2 is also doing some things for us behind the scenes that we don't even realize to improve performance, such as page caching in the DOM. New pages are pushed onto the stack in forward navigation and popped off the stack when navigating backwards, just like you would think for a typical stack. Most apps will use just a single navigation stack, which is called the root stack. However, Ionic does support multiple navigation stacks. For example, using a tabbed layout will contain its own navigation stack, which is independent of the root stack. I'll show you an example of this towards the end of this module when we start getting into more advanced scenarios. Ionic 1 was based on the UI router component. Typical use of the UI router revolved around URLs, although this wasn't 100% required, as you could use named routes only. But with Ionic 2, since it's based on the concept of a stack, actually, URLs don't factor in at all to basic navigation. That's not to say that Ionic 2 doesn't support URLs. It does in the form of what we call deep linking, which is typically used to allow a user to jump straight into a view contained deeper inside a native app, perhaps launched from a web browser. But for our purposes in this course, we're going to stay focused on the stack-based navigation. Let's show a basic example of Ionic's stack-based navigation. When the app starts up, we'll need some page as our start page. Let's call this our home page. This will be the root of the app because it's the first page pushed onto the root stack. Then the user navigates forward to page 1. We can see that page 1 is pushed onto the top of the stack. The page on the top of the stack is the one that is currently visible to our user. We then navigate forward once again and page 2 is pushed to the top of the stack and visible to our users. Then let's say our user wants to navigate back. Page 2 is popped off the stack and now page 1 is visible to our user again. If the user wanted to navigate back to the home screen, they could hit the back button again and page 1 would be popped off the stack and the home would be displayed again. This is a basic example of how stack-based navigation works, and it's conceptually no different than what we do every day navigating in a web browser.